Joining me now is Congressman Ted Lieu of California, who was a 2021 impeachment manager. And I want to get your reaction to this idea from Newt Gingrich, straight out of the sort of banana republic world, that you know, they're going to turn around if Republicans get back the House. And he's advising Kevin McCarthy, who wants to be Speaker, and prosecute and try to jail members of the January 6th committee. And I presume after they're done with them, they're going to come after those of you who impeached Donald Trump.
Newt Gingrich's remarks are outrageous. We know the Supreme Court has already validated the January 6th bipartisan committee as a legitimate committee. You don't throw members of Congress in jail for serving on a committee. And you really see how fearful Republicans are now of the January 6th committee. And they're trying to do everything they can to intimidate the committee members and try to shut it down. They will not succeed.
What do you make of the purges that you're now seeing in places like Virginia, where, you know, a lot of media folks tried to give Glenn Youngkin credit and try to say he wasn't Trump? Well, right now, his attorney general has fired somebody who's involved in the January 6th committee. They're not saying why they fired him. They're not owning the fact that they're doing it because he was involved, but it sure does look weird.
Glenn Youngkin sure is acting Trump-like with a number of his executive orders he's issued. And the Attorney General of Virginia did not give any reason for firing what has been a perfectly fine lawyer. It looks like he did it because he was upset that the lawyer was on the January 6th committee. That is, again, a showing of how fearful the Republican base is of the January 6th committee. And the committee is asking all the right questions, and they're doing a fantastic job, and we look forward to their work product.
I can tell you one person who's not afraid is Liz Cheney's. I don't think Cheney's gets scared of anything. She responded to Gingrich's threat, saying a former Speaker of the House threatening jail time for members of Congress who are investigating the violent January 6th attack on our Capitol and our Constitution. This is what it looks like when the rule of law unravels. And I do have to ask you, should Republicans return to the majority in the House, do you expect Kevin McCarthy's reign, assuming Donald Trump doesn't take it from him and become Speaker himself, to simply be an ongoing witch hunt against Democrats like yourself?
Well, let me first say that last week, the YouGov Economist poll had Democrats ahead in the generic congressional ballot. We have every reason and motivation and indication that we're going to hold the House. However, to answer your hypothetical, I think President Biden asked a very good question, which is, what are Republicans for? And right now, we don't know what they're for other than for vengeance. And you see Kevin McCarthy saying he wants to throw Democrats off committees without even giving a reason as to what any particular Democrat may have done wrong. And so you're looking purely at a vengeance-motivated kind of campaign. They're in this for power. They don't have any policies for the American people.
Yeah, they're in it for owning the libs. Rolling Stone has a piece out. They've got a few really good pieces out this week. One of them, Start the Steal. New MAGA emails reveal a plot to hand the state of Arizona to Trump. Here's the sort of the byline from it, or the sort of bottom line here. Exclusive emails obtained by Rolling Stone expose an attempt to recertify the state as a victory for Trump and reveal top Trump world figures were complicit. We've had a couple of members of Trump's legal team come on Ari Melber's show and admit that their plan was indeed to, you know, basically decertify certain states to try to send them back so they could put fake electors in instead of the real electors. What do you make of the openness with which these guys are admitting that that was the plan? And do you think that there were crimes committed in doing that?
Let me first say that when we made the presentation at the second impeachment trial, it was clear to us that this wasn't just about the January 6th attack on our Capitol. You had a lot of buildup to January 6th. You also had follow-up actions, all of which were designed to keep the former president in power illegitimately. The January 6th committee has uncovered how broad and far this went. The fact that the coup failed doesn't mean that criminal laws weren't broken. And the fact that they did this in the open doesn't mean that criminal laws weren't broken. And so we look forward again to the public hearings that the January 6th committee will be putting out and the final work product. And I think there's going to be a lot there for the Department of Justice to look into.
Are we going to wind up seeing the justice for any crimes that were committed having to come from the states. We have now a grand jury that's been seated in the state of Georgia to look into the attempts to steal that state for Donald Trump. Is that where we're going to wind up looking to see testimony compelled? People like Raffensperger having to testify because they're subpoenaed by a grand jury. Are we going to have to really starting to look there? Because it doesn't seem like the DOJ is doing any active investigations in that realm. Even the January 6th committee, they haven't subpoenaed William Barr. They've just talked to him informally.
So with the Department of Justice, they often don't tell you what they're doing until you see it publicly. So they could be doing all sorts of things. We just really don't know. I am pleased, though, that state and local prosecutors are doing their job. And if you just look at their law, you've got election interference laws. And if the former president is going to call up an election official and try to get that person fined over 11,000 votes, that is election interference. And on Bill Barr, I'm very pleased that the January 6th committee has already had discussions with him and gotten some information. And I want to remind people that during the impeachment trial, we presented evidence that Bill Barr told Donald Trump to his face that the election conspiracy theories were, quote, bullshit. So Bill Barr, I think, is not going to provide any good information in support of Trump. He might provide information that would be very helpful to the January 6th committee.
Yeah, that one was somebody who was a complete flunky for Trump the entire time he was there. And even he said, nah, this ain't even real. Congressman Ted Lieu, thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate you being here.